in the tower, protected by the Green Man or Woodwose Man from Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Matt Damon seems to be symbolic of both archetypes, Jesus and John the Baptist, from examining his films. The Bourne Identity, The Good Shepherd, and Ocean's 13 are Matt Damon's movies. Matt also symbolizes other biblical characters. For instance, he plays Aaron in the film Margaret and Loki. Loki, of course, a Norse god in the movie Dogma. In this one scene in the movie, he turns his back on the cross, which divides himself and Heath Ledger during most of the scene in between them both. Matt Damon again shows disrespect to the Christian cross by tapping it loudly in order to gain the crowd's attention. Now, going back to the quote by an author named Lynn Picknett, Venus was a huntress whose horned consort was Adonis, both the hunter and the sacrificial stag, who became venison or Venus's son. That's where the word venison come from. You can literally see the hero fulfilling the criteria of the hunter. But if we switch films and examine A Knight's Tale, the evidence begins to mount. We have Heath Ledger symbolizing the hunter again, as he did in The Brothers Grimm, but the scenes combined with the dialogue from the movie A Knight's Tale provide you with a much more coherent and overall view. A portion of the script, Heath Ledger speaks and says, "Tell me your name, woman." The goddess speaks and said, "And what would you do with my name, Sir Hunter?" "Call me a fox, for that is all I am to you." Heath Ledger replies, "Well then, a fox you shall be until I find your name, my foxy lady." Now, did the Jimi Hendrix song just come to mind right there? By any chance? It's all part of the brainwashing, you know. The goddess answers, "He is a handsome hunter. I'll give him that." In the process of his first introduction to the beautiful goddess, Heath Ledger manages to desecrate the Christian church by riding into it on his horse. Our goddess, played by Shannon Sossamon, so close to Solomon, has appeared in some films whose titles would suggest she portrays the goddess a lot, and in a biblical setting constantly. 40 Days and 40 Nights, Moonlight Fleur, Dali, Sleeping Beauty. Just a few of the movies. He is then made to leave by the clergy present. Religion kicks him out. The director of the movie, Terry Gilliam, has made him into the tarot card. He's made him into the Hanged Man. Terry Gilliam is apparently an evil man. Heath Ledger actually died while working under Terry Gilliam. How stupid do they think the public really is? Here's the reality. Who is God? Who is man? How many have been murdered over this question? As long as there has been a one true God, there's always been killing done in His name. But what about killing in her name? I think that plenty of that has gone on too. Was Heath Ledger murdered in the name of the mother goddess, Venus? Was he murdered at all, or did he take his own life as the Illuminati-controlled mass media have stated? Or has even a ritual taken place? It was all too weird that day, with the Amy Winehouse crack scandal making more headlines than the stock market meltdown. The news about Heath Ledger dying just put the icing on the cake for the Illuminati-controlled mass media. Right away I started looking for odd connections from his past. Things like who he worked with. What kind of films did he make? When I discovered that Heath Ledger had died on the 92nd anniversary of Berenger Saulnier's death, of Rennes-le-Château fame, on January 22nd of 2008, I was totally convinced this was part of some satanic ritual that had occurred that day. There was also a scene in the movie The Da Vinci Code. In the beginning of the film, Tom Hanks is giving a talk about symbols, and a sequence of photos are flashed up behind him. Within that sequence, there is only one tarot card depicted. You know what it is, don't you? It's the Hanging Man card. There are two versions shown, one after the other, and both have a clear resemblance to that card. One card was the older Crowley card, as it's called, and the other the newer depiction of the Hanging Man tarot card. Spaceman, AM 640 interview from space. Aleister Crowley's card emphasizes the water element a little more than the other card. There are a large number of instances where Heath Ledger is actually pictured beside a gallows for hanging, or is sentenced to be hung. Just before Tom Hanks begins his speech at the opening of the Da Vinci Code movie, Ron Howard, the director of that movie, shoots and holds his camera on a glass of water that is on the table for the speaker to obviously drink. But Ron Howard holds that, lingers on that water. I believe this lingering shot of the water was a symbolic reference to the water element of the four natural forces. The directors of these movies are so subtle in their depictions of the symbolism. That's why they're so well rewarded materially. Spaceman, back with more on A View from Space on Talk Radio.
Extreme radio for extreme times. This is A View from Space with the Spaceman on AM 640.
I'm the guy they call Space. You can email me. Spaceman at 640toronto.com is one address. Space at 640toronto.com the other. In real life, Berenger Saulnier and Heath Ledger died on exactly the same day, January 22nd, only 92 years apart. A hidden 11, with the confines of a geographical pentacle. Within the confines of a geographical pentacle, both men died January 22. Are you getting the message? As Tom Hanks speaks in the opening of the Da Vinci Code movie, Berenger Saulnier, that character in the film, is being murdered in the Louvre as Tom Hanks speaks. This, of course, bears no resemblance to reality, where Berenger Saulnier, the millionaire priest, died in Rennes-le-Château. But what is interesting here is that he is murdered. and actually positions his body in the Vitruvian man pose and smears the pentacle goddess symbol onto his chest as he's dying. What is even more interesting is that he is murdered by someone who Heath Ledger had worked with before, one Paul Bettany. Now, Paul Bettany is the biblical house of Lazarus, and this does fit in with the biblical archetype structure that I've been talking about. I think it's possible that John the Baptist is the hanging man archetype, and that Jesus Christ is the fool archetype card, and that Heath Ledger is more associated, of course, with the hanging man than as the fool. The fool usually kills the king. By the way, if you haven't seen the Da Vinci Code movie, Paul Bettany is the actor who plays the role of the person who kills Berenguer Saunier. And Heath Ledger worked with Paul Bettany before. As I say, almost all actors play the same roles in different movies over and over. It's as if they're cast as that character. The Vitruvian Man, by the way, is a drawing by Leonardo da Vinci himself, named after an architect named Vitruvius. Now, Leonardo da Vinci wanted to represent the evolved man, the perfected man. After all, he's often called the universal man, this Vitruvian man, isn't he? You've seen it before, even if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's the man with the many arms that goes down from above his head to down by his side. Two arcs cover it on both sides. Two very potent examples of its meaning come from a couple of movies. One was released in 1994 called Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. In it, Victor Frankenstein uses the Vitruvian Man, this drawing by Leonardo da Vinci, as a model as he fashions new life. After all, it's a Frankenstein movie. But he uses the Vitruvian Man as the model for this new creature that he is making. As I said, Leonardo da Vinci himself represented the evolved man in this drawing, the perfected man, the enlightened man. Victor Frankenstein used the Vitruvian Man as a model when he tried to invent new life. And the other potent example is the 1997 movie Contact, about aliens. It uses a stylized Vitruvian Man to represent man to the cosmos. It's the Illuminati's quest in the creation of the perfect man and a new life, the enlightenment of man. When Heath Ledger first encounters Paul Bettany in the flick A Knight's Tale, another one he worked with Paul Bettany in, there's even a mention of John the Baptist in an exchange between the two characters. Also, very strangely, Paul Bettany appears naked at the start of both movies, A Knight's Tale and the Da Vinci Code. This also gives you another clear connection between Heath Ledger and the Merovingian kings, as Paul Bettany gives Heath Ledger the John the Baptist point.